Welcome, my beautiful friends. We are on the red elevator, outside of the elevator today, and we're going to have something a little bit different than what we normally do. Why? Because I think the information that I'm going to present is going to be quite valuable. I was just on a podcast called Successful Iranians, and there were so many good pieces of information that I wanted to share with you guys because I get a lot of requests and DMs from you asking me, how did you do this? How did this come about? How did you start your interior design career? What made you successful? And basically, all of these answers are in that podcast that I'm going to share with you today on YouTube. And since so many of you asked, today I am wearing a very cute ribbed tank top from H&M. My skirt that I love, I also have this in the jean colorway, is from Mango, and I'm going to link all of these items in the description section, and my shoes are Celine. If you guys have questions regarding interior design or even just about learning something new or wanting to learn how I became successful, or if you just have general questions, I am available to be booked on Zoom. And this is one of my favorite parts of my job because I get to meet you guys and we get to interact and I get to give you advice or look at your space, etc. So if you want to book a meeting, just click the Zoom link in the description section, and next thing you know, we'll be able to meet via Zoom. If you would like to listen to the entirety of this podcast, which I believe is somewhat valuable, you can certainly do so because that's going to be linked also in the description. So in the podcast, Johnny Nash asks a very important question. He asks me why it was that I left a very cushy job at a Fortune 500 company to pursue what was at the time a venture in opening up my own business. This was, of course, prior to my interior design business when I had a children's boutique where we did nurseries across the world with some of the biggest celebrities, and this was called Petit Tresor. So he asked me why it was that I took the risk of really pivoting from something that was salaried and comfortable and predictable to something completely unknown, unpredictable, and a business venture. My answer to him was very simple, and it is my sort of advice to you. If you are in something that is predictable and cushy and comfortable, there are certain personalities that require that. But if you want to push the envelope just a little bit, I recommend that you do it. Why? Because I did it because I was a comfortable risk taker. I love to take risks. You're never going to get rewarded unless you take risks. High risk, high reward. But there could also be downfalls. However, with those downfalls, you get a lot of great learning experiences that really shape who you are and propel you into the entrepreneur that you are going to become. And in my case, I decided to leave corporate America. I decided to do what I wanted to do because I felt empty sitting at a cubicle. And as hard as it was to start a brand new business, as I did a second time in my late 40s when I did interior design, I knew that if it was something that was speaking to me, and if I listened to my gut, it was going to work. Additionally, there's something very simple to consider. When you are working for a company for somebody else, you have one output, essentially, unless you have a side hustle. But essentially, you have one, maybe two hustles. However, when you're working for yourself, you can have a myriad of revenue streams. You can have the work that you're doing for yourself, but that means employing other people. And every person that works for you is essentially bringing you in income. And therefore, I knew there was something that I was going to be able to achieve in my business that would have been far greater than what one person would have been able to do in a cubicle at a corporate office. Something else that made a tremendous amount of sense is when you are one person working for one company doing one job, you're only going to get one output, meaning you're going to get one salary, and that salary is going to be capped. At any given point, that's all you're going to be making. However, when you are working for yourself, it's a different game altogether. You can have multiple sources of income. You can have multiple outputs. Why? Because there is no limitations to you. You can have more and more companies, you can have more and more employees, and all of these people are actually helping you in your end goals of being not only successful, but having multiple outputs. So in the next segment of the podcast, Johnny asks me whether why it was that I left retail and started my interior design business and what made me do it. And the short answer is there's a host of reasons why I wanted to close retail, and it was a transition that I was needing in my life. And in your life, you're going to find yourself in certain positions where you're going to be happy, but there is a point in time where one chapter closes and another one opens. So here we are at the, I would say, third chapter of my professional life, consumer packaged goods with an MBA, then opening a successful business, which was a boutique and had licensed products at Target and Babies R Us and Bye Bye Baby, did that, done that. And then the next phase was to do what I was most passionate about, because by the time you're in your 40s, you know what you're passionate about. And I was always passionate about interior design. There wasn't a moment that I didn't think about the space that I lived in, how I could ameliorate it, how I could live a more beautiful life, what was important about the interiors, how it made me feel, etc. And so I knew that once I closed this retail business, that I had to start doing exactly what I was passionate about, and that was interior design. Again, it's about the belief, it's about the passion, it's about putting your best step forward and believing in yourself, because nobody, let me tell you, nobody is going to believe in you. Even your closest friends might not believe in you. The only person that's going to have your back, unfortunately, in life is you. Born alone, and you're going to die alone. That's just the reality. That's how I feel about it. And if you don't believe in yourself, you will never be able to sell others on your services. And I knew deep down there was no question that I was going to be good at it, because of the fact that I never, ever focused on money. Money to me was irrelevant, and I was lucky enough not to focus on money, not because I have a giant bank account and my parents gifted me money, none of those things, but because during the years when I was working, I saved and I had an exit strategy. I was fiscally responsible. I always had a good amount of savings, and I knew that I didn't need to rely on anyone. And so once I had my money saved where I knew I would be okay, then I decided to not even focus on money and just do what I did best, which was interior design, sharing my passion with you guys. That's how it all started. So thank you for being these loyal followers. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following all of these years. It means a great deal to me. And second of all, it was to get clients. I virtually received clients from the moment that I opened my business. I don't think there was a day that I wasn't lucky enough to have clients. And today I'm in a place where I'm able to pick and choose my clients, which I'm really excited about. I get to do things that I am passionate about, and I get to do things that have meaning to me. And when you do things that have meaning, and when you do things with the right intention, things fall into place. And let me tell you about intention a little bit. Intention is a very big part of my philosophy. What are your intentions? Why do you want to pivot careers? Why do you want to do something else? Or why is it that you want to focus on something else, such as yourself or your business? It's the intention that matters. When I meet with a client, my intention is not to make the most amount of money. Of course, if I happen to make a lot of money, that's a benefit. Please, I'm not Mother Teresa. I have bills and I need to pay bills, etc. But I don't do it for the money, and my intention is to make sure the client is happy. If the client is happy, I'm happy. And if I'm happy, it gives me the satisfaction that I need to be able to continue, and the client is going to refer me. Additionally, the intention is always to be completely transparent with your clients. I never take advantage of my clients. I never overcharge my clients. I never sell them things that are expensive because I'm thinking about the money. I am telling them what to buy because I believe in those items and because I would buy them for myself. And we do a lot of high-low. I don't believe in buying everything expensive. I definitely believe in trickling things from different eras, from different price points, and from different locations. And the only way to do that is to be authentic. So your intention and your authenticity are what you have as your biggest asset. Most people hide those things. Why? Because they think perhaps they're not good enough. Well, you are. You are good enough. And perhaps they feel like they need to pay their bill and therefore they'll overcharge the client. And all of those things, all of those bad intentions or negative intentions, I should say, not necessarily bad, are going to come back at you. What you put out comes back at you tenfold. So think about that. To reinvent yourself later in life is no easy feat by any means. And the only way that you can do it, and the only way that I was able to do it, was perseverance. So I talk about this with my kids all the time. You can never give up. You're going to have failures, but the only people who continuously fail are those that are successful, because you will never become successful unless you've had failures, and failures are a journey towards success. And I can't tell you the amount of mistakes I've made over the years, but with every mistake that I've made, I have learned something that I have taken with me. And if you are taking the time to learn from your mistake, then that is how you are going to evolve. That is how you are going to evolve, and that is how you are going to become uber successful without a shadow of a doubt. Another critical key pillar to success is being your own advocate, because no one is going to do it for you. Pushing the boundaries, making those phone calls that are really make you uneasy. I was very shy as a young girl, and over the years I've opened up. Now I have no problem calling anyone and asking anything, because I find that when people reach out to me, I'm always happy to help them. And therefore, wouldn't it also be true that if I reached out to somebody that they too would be equally happy to help? And that is generally true. A lot of people are weary of making those contacts, of talking to people, picking their brains about their knowledge. And honestly, I find that most people who are successful have a lot to say, and they want to share their information. They want to share their success with you. So, make calls, talk to people that are older than you that have been successful. Reach out, or if you stumble into someone at an event or a party, talk to them, find out. Even if they're successful, don't think that they're not going to share with you. If it's somebody in the same industry as you, I would reach out to them and say, how did you do it? I'm in admiration of you. So a lot of it is the legwork that you are going to be doing behind the scenes in whatever capacity that you can in order to build whatever business it is that you want. And really taking no for an answer then you're not asking the right person. I always said, whenever a customer comes into our boutique, this was back in the day, whatever it is that they want, the answer is always going to be yes. Can you make me a crib out of, in the shape of a giant pumpkin? Yes, absolutely, because we can figure it out. And a lot of it is about your thought process. A lot of it is about your ability to really think outside the box, be smart about it, don't overpromise. Say, we don't make a pumpkin crib at the moment, but I can certainly find out, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to do it. And then you figure it out and you give them the right answer. So it really is about stretching your mind, tapping into the people that are going to be able to help you. So research is a big part of it. There are so many tools today that are available that were not available even 5 years ago. And not to tap into these tools, I think, is almost criminal. So you've got blogs, you've got TikTok that has a tremendous amount of business information. You've got just the internet itself is a wealth of information. How to set up a company, even what to sell, product manufacturing, whatever it is, it's in the internet. Google has you covered. So, there are no excuses anymore. I can't do it because I can't find, when I started my baby business, the way that we did it was I went and got a $100,000 loan from the SBA because I knew that the government backed women's businesses. I knew I was a minority. I was a woman. And the reason I knew this wasn't because the internet was really kicking at that point. It was because I had worked as a consultant in the SBA, and I knew SBAs gave out loans. So there is always a way. There is always a way to get a loan, to get whatever it is that you want, and to make it happen. So at one point, Johnny asked me, I believe what he asked me was, so do you think you've made it? And what I said to him was, for the majority of my life, I've been waiting for that moment where I can say, guys, I made it, or here it is. So the reality is that there isn't a moment where you're going to have this aha epiphany, this moment where you're going to say, I made it, here I am, because life is a journey, and there isn't that pinnacle moment where you realize you're there. In fact, I would say I'm there. I'm there not because of the amount of money that I've made. I'm there because I feel good. I feel good about where I am today. I feel grateful. I feel lucky that I was able to achieve what I've achieved. I feel a tremendous amount of gratitude to people like you who follow me, to people who care to interact with me, to the people who hire me, to the people who find my vision interesting and want to partake in the journey with me. So that is really the biggest takeaway of my life, is that you just want to live the journey and you want to appreciate the different moments. All of these highs and lows are going to happen. I can guarantee you that. There's one thing I can guarantee, that there's going to be lots of highs and lots of lows. And there isn't going to be that moment that you're looking for. But if you just step back and think about what you've achieved, and if you've done it soulfully and you've done it with good intention and you've done it to do better by others, then you've actually made it. If you haven't subscribed already, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. Thank you for joining me on this very fun episode of Get to Know Nina. I hope that I was able to share something valuable. Let me know if any of these moments that I shared with you had some kind of impact or resonated in any way. Next week, we're going to see my European journey. I'm going to share with you what I did this summer, in July, in Italy, and in Paris. So I can't wait to see you guys next week on the Red Elevator.